The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on it.
He missed the pit complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Miniseries claim to have close competition, but few can say they are so close even iRacing can't tell us the margin for victory. Such is the intensity of IGP fun. So get ready to witness another exciting edition of the Week 13 SRF Big Grid Race. I'm Joe Peak and welcome to the legendary Suzuka circuit. Today I'm joined by Richard Losper and Sean Ambrose. Our cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard and are directed by Kevin Brown. As we said, being at Suzuka means a lot of history here. And Richard, there's quite a bit to talk about with the track, with many turns and quite a bit of technicality to it.
Absolutely. Good evening, folks. We have the full GP course being run here today, and the guys are out there qualifying at the moment. This track is 5.808 kilometers or 3.609 miles long. There are some very intricate setups, combinations of corners, I would say, Joe, that you have to negotiate absolutely correctly or lose time or even worse, spin your car off the track. A great track, lots of history, as you say. We've got 17 corners on this track that these guys will have to negotiate, and we've got an 18-lap race. It also features one of the most interesting corners and fastest corners in all of iRacing, certainly maybe in all of racing, and that is the 130R, which is a flat-out or close to flat-out corner, a left-hander at 130 degrees, which everyone is normally scared of. I know I certainly am scared of it. And in this car, with the new tire model, which we'll talk a little bit about later on, it's going to be lots of interesting fun to watch.
Yeah, you're not alone. I know it usually scares me, especially in this car with the lift throttle oversteer that it tends to have through there. You got to really thread that needle. Well, as we watch qualifying work its way through here, we're actually going to hop off to a lap guide and see what it's like on board around this track. All right, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Suzuka. Coming up, despite what you'd think, turn 1 is actually going to be this little kink, and 2 is the big banked hairpin after it. What makes it tricky is the kink means you've got a curved braking zone for the second corner. The draft will offer passing opportunities, but side-by-side battles could end in tears if people don't give space. After that is the infamous S's. Set yourself up for each subsequent corner and focus on keeping your line. Mess up one, and it's going to compromise you all the way down to the Dunlop curve. Obviously, there's not much passing to be done here. Even when the car in front of you makes a mistake, there's little you can do to work past. However, get a run here, and sometimes a surprise attack is possible on the left. This is more of a desperate move if you're struggling to find a way past a slower car. Now that we've hit the Dunlop curve, you're going to hug the left side of the track and get ready for Degner 1. This is a fast little kink in just about any car. The lift throttle oversteer combined with that nasty curb on the inside means the car can be pitched in the sand in a heartbeat. Degner 2 will come up on you very quickly. There's a lot of banking to use here, so chuck the car in as far as you dare and get on the power early. After the crossover bridge, you approach the fast bend leading into the hairpin. This is a great place to sneak in a pass if you can catch your opponent sleeping. But be aware that because of the preceding bend, sometimes you can't know until it's too late if the other driver is defending. Even if you're battling, you've got to hit a late apex here and get on the power as soon as you can for a good exit. Now, as we fly through the gentle bend of 12, we're going to have our foot to the floor all the way until Spoon Curve. But once again, the draft will keep things close between drivers. If you've accrued any damage, you will be a sitting duck in all the high-speed areas. Stay to the right, spot your braking marker, and gently turn it into the first apex. There's runoff to drift wide, but you'll want to keep it tidy as you get ready for the second, slower apex. This is the crucial one of the two. It dumps the cars onto the backstretch, so getting a good run will be of the utmost importance to a good lap time. Now, as we climb the hill, the draft is going to be pulling your opponent in yet again. This is going to cause some awkward situations into the fearsome 130R. In these cars, it's just a lift, but once again, that lift throttle oversteer will catch more than a few guys out, especially in close competition. After that, you drift left, and if you didn't dare your way past at 130R, you can try to outbrake them at the Casio Triangle. If it comes to a last lap battle, expect the last stand to happen here. Eat up plenty of curb, straighten out the second part, and don't get distracted by the Ferris wheel. From there, it's a matter of straightening out 17 and letting it drift to the edge of the track as you enter the front stretch. If you've managed all that, you've completed a lap around Suzuka. And you can see how long of a lap it is around here for these cars, which aren't terribly high powered, but certainly get some speed. And speaking of the power, Sean, it sounds like you have a bit of information for our viewers about the stats about this car.
Yeah, well, hey, basically, what are we looking at? What are these guys driving? This is the old trusty SCCA Spec Racer Ford. Sits on a tube frame with a 92-inch wheelbase. Little thing. Only weighs about 1,670 pounds with the driver in the car. So not a lot of weight to deal with here, but a lot of power under that thing, as we've got the Ford 1.9 liter fuel injected 8-valve Hemi head 4-cylinder inline 4 water cooled 5-speed transmission. Gonna get about 105 horsepower out of that and a top speed of about 135 miles an hour. I don't know if they're going to get to that point of 135 on this track, but I've seen some speeds of 120 plus, so look for that thing to be fast and get these laps in at just under about 2.5 minutes.
And like you were saying, it's a small car. I mean, it's basically like a glorified go-kart out there. And doing 120 and that little thing in open cockpit in real life must be something else, as we see Ade Cobo Lopez taking a little bit of an off track and qualifying here. And to do with the power combination with these little cars, the draft is going to be really big today. You really can't get any damage, Richard, or you're going to be a sitting duck for most of the day.
Oh, yeah. I love this car. I think it's, the specs of the car actually don't do it justice. I mean, this thing is tiny and it is fragile as well. You touch somebody in the rear and it just crumples that rear section of the car, and the aerodynamics, strangely enough, don't seem to be affected by that. The car just keeps going. It's a tough little car, I must say, as well. But this track is going to bring out the very best, or maybe the very worst, of all the drivers. You've got that S section, which is extremely tricky. You've got the spoon curve. You've got those Degner section, Degner 1 and 2, Joe, which is it's terrifying to negotiate with this car, particularly now that we have a situation where the tire model has changed in iRacing to a brand new model, which I believe makes the car a little more twitchy. So all in all, we are gonna see something different here tonight from the other SRF races. But what is not different, Joe, is that Koba, as he likes to be called, Day Koba Lopez, is leading sitting at the top of the leaderboard.
We're no stranger to seeing him up at the top of the leaderboard. That guy is just lightning fast in just about any car you seem to stick him in, and this is no exception. With qualifying just about over, this is provisional, but let's run through really quick. Ade Coba Lopez currently sitting on provisional pole. Nathan Schartner is in second. Kevin Vaughn sits in third. Then on the outside of the second row, it's Matthias Weiger in fourth. Luca Varani in fifth. Dominic Brennan in sixth. Martin Ensman in seventh. Then in eighth, it's Michelle Mancusi, a pro licensed driver. Trevor Mack is ninth. And Ed Rice rounds out the top 10, Sean.
Yeah, in 11th, Stefan Obergaard, a name we've seen before in other series. In 12th, Jeremy Burkaki. In 13th, Andrew Bach. In 14th, Richard Yallen. In 15th, Nick Thyssen. In 16th, Christian Kroza. In 17th, Duljan Boldrin. In 18th, Sergio Dorelli. In 19th, Eric Williams. And in 20th, Clark Williams.
And in 21st place, Seth Reed, followed by Marcos Silva. Then we have Mehdi Mokrani, I'm sorry, Marco Silva. In 24th place, there is 23rd place, Michael Chase, then Mendy Macrani, then Angelo Fiorino, then Steve Allen, Mario Perez, Arthur Hermond brings up the 28th place. 29th is held down by Donny Held Henriksen, and 30th place, Joe, by Brian Strongquist.
After that, 31st is Adam Hawks, then Brian Bennett in 32nd. 33rd is Tim Phillips, followed by Rick James in 34th. David Gibson is 35th, then 36th behind him is Jared Sharp. Steve Tingle is in 37th, followed by Brett Trosen in 38th, Ray Otani in 39th, David Anderson in 40th, Kleber Gomez in 41st, and Gary Jackson rounding out the field at 42nd. And we might have a few provisional joiners who don't get qualifying laps in. We'll have to wait and see if anybody might have had trouble trying to get around this place without a 1X of some sort. And so 42 cars, not the biggest field we've seen, Richard, but still a lot of people, even on this big of a course. It's going to be a huge field out there.
Oh, and we well remember, Joe, some of the other SRF races. Who can forget the that really close finish that you mentioned at the top of the show, where iRacing could not tell the difference between first and second place. We had to go to the nearest 1/10,000th of a second to find who the winner was. This is a race where there's no championship at stake, just bragging rights. We have all the very, very best drivers in this race today. And we mentioned drafting, which will be pretty important. One rule that they have, Joe, no passing on lap 1, turn 1, which is a good rule, I believe. And with such a huge field, you mentioned in our write-up here that the mid to the rear pack, they really need to worry about staying out of trouble. And that is going to be a huge factor. Normally up the front we have intense racing but clean racing, and in the middle is where we have most of the trouble, as the qualifying is just about done now. So we'll get ready for a start soon. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, and I don't believe I saw any changes in qualifying. I was trying to keep an eye on that out there. So what we read out should be accurate. As you said, they are lining up on the grid. This is a standing start, and you are correct. They are not allowed to pass into what is actually turn 1 and 2. It's that what I mentioned in the lap guide. You got that little kink is considered 1, and then the hairpin after it is considered 2, even though they act more like one complete turn together. But that is basically to keep these guys from doing anything silly, especially up at the front, because with so many cars, it's disastrous to have a pileup on the very first lap. So we're waiting for the green flag to come out. We still got a little bit of time to go, I believe it looks like. So I think... So we're actually going to kind of keep our thumb on this just in case that green flag comes up, because unfortunately some of our timing and scoring has been screwed up by the latest iRacing update. Usually we were able to tell exactly when that was going to come up, but now we got to kind of keep our eyes open. So as
Joe,
yes,
just a quick mention of the fact that the number 1 position where Koba sits at the moment is actually on the outside as they get ready for a start.
Good point. However, we do have the lights up, so we are getting ready to watch them take off. There's the green flag. Jacobo Lopez gets a decent start. Nathan Schartner is going to follow him into line. Remember, there is no passing, so most of these guys should not worry about their start too much. Just about slotting into position as they come through and try to make it cleanly through these first couple of corners. Everybody's behaving pretty well. A few guys may be taking slightly advantageous moves, but mostly everybody trying to get into line. I don't see any action. What does it look like up front?
Well, I can tell you that the first 10 cars went through in line. Of course, they weren't allowed to pass through turns 1 and 2, and going through the S section now. Koba Lopez leads them still at this point in time right at the front. Behind him, we do have Nathan Schartner and Kevin Vaughan in third place, who's dropped a fraction. as they come through Degner 1 and 2, which is pretty scary in this car, in any car really, but all nice and clean at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any offs quite yet. I'm trying to keep an eye out because especially Degner 1 and 2 can really pitch that car out if anybody's not paying attention. We got a two-wide situation going on well down the field between Adam Hawks and, or I'm sorry, that was actually Henriksen and Arthur Vermont. Vermont came out ahead of him. Now they're coming up to the hairpin. Is there going to be a pass attempt coming through here? Trying to come around the outside with Henriksen. Doesn't quite get it and actually loses ground as everybody stacks up behind them.
Yeah, and I'm looking here in the back of the field right now, and amazingly enough, everybody's managed to stay in line and not get off course yet. But good race going on back there as we're seeing some passing position. The Angelo Fiorano machine doing well, and coming through the field. Steve Allen hot on his tail.
I'm actually watching Michel Mancusi because he has been very close behind Martin Ensman, and this is for 7th and 8th, I believe, between these guys. He's been hassling them for most of the lap. These three in a pack that you can see at the tail end, that's Trevor Mack as he goes way off course coming through 130R. Mancusi takes a look up into the inside of the Casio triangle. Is he able to get it done? Just slots by. Textbook pass, Richard.
Absolutely, a good pass there by Mancusi. As we saw that, in fact, probably given a bit of room as well. Now we have I'm watching Trevor Mack now taking. Yes, he does get a pass done on that Martin Ensman. It's Ensman, and he gets the pass done going into 1 and 2, and he moves up one position. There are a number of guys, Joe, that I want to watch here today. One of them is Luca Varani, who has had some pretty terrible, I should say, by his own standards, SRF races. I would love to see him do really well here today. And, of course, he is the organizer of these races as well. But up front, still Adai Koba Lopez.
We got a car off the course, guys. Got a car off the course.
What's the name?
Hard into the wall. Here, trying to look at it real quickly here for you guys. Sergio Dorelli off the course and into the wall.
And we're watching that replay now. He just put a wheel off coming out of what was that in the S's, I believe? Yes, it looks like in the S's. So first driver bit, and he has to wait a long time for the field to stream by to rejoin.
Well, guys, it seems to me that going back up the front here, that Kevin Vaughan, who is very fast in this car, is struggling a little bit to keep pace with Nathan Schartner and Adai Lopez. He's coming under threat a little bit from Matthias Wieger, who in turn, we had a situation where Luca Varani was catching, but he's dropped back just a fraction, but he's still in touch with the guys in front of him. A good run from Matthias Wieger, who is fast in this car as well. Kevin Vaughan, one of the known fast, is not keeping up with Nathan Schartner at the moment, and Adai Lopez. Nathan Schartner doing a fantastic job as they come now. Nathan is about to try and move. He goes back into line, Joe. Coming up to 130 are not the best place to try and overtake.
I was going to say,
as
2 laps in.
Koba had a big bobble there. Now Nathan Schartner tries on the outside, decides against it as they go through the Casio triangle. So Koba hangs on to that position, but he did have a bit of a bobble there and was under threat for a second.
Very much pushing that car all the way to the limits and maybe even beyond. Schartner, I think, wisely decided to back out of that. We were only on lap 2, now entering lap 3 for these guys. There was no point in stressing it, but now he takes a look, coming up to the inside 1. Very tricky to go too wide through here. He backs out of it. Adai Koba Lopez holds on to the lead as they come through 2. He's going to have to wait a little bit later in the lap to get another opportunity.
Yes, hey. And I just want to say that before we come to you, Sean, that Adai is known to be very brave through all of these corners, won't give up position lightly, and I think Nathan Schartner knows that very well and is showing respect for that bravery of Koba. So this is what's happening at the front, what's happening further back.
Yeah, well, here just about a minute ago, Jerry Jackson in the number 36 got off, Gary Jackson and the number 36 got off track and into the wall. A little bit of damage. He's continued on, though, but he's dipped way back in the field now almost close to a minute back, and David Gibson back there, he had a little off himself, same problem. So the front of the field is going to be catching up to the back of the field here pretty quick to a couple of these cars. They need to get on the move and stay out of the way.
Well, as we jump back up to the front, Nathan had another chance to maybe take a look coming up to the hairpin, but decided that was not the time for him. He's going to get a draft as they head around turn 14 here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's turn 12 actually, which leads up to Spoon Curve. He's gonna be able to pull in just a little bit, but he doesn't have enough momentum, and he's gonna have to hold position yet again. But that doesn't mean it's over yet, Richard. Here comes the backstretch leading up to 130R. That's where he closed last time.
Correct. And now we shall see as the draft pulls him into Jacobo Lopez. He comes up on the rear of Aday's car right now. He will go to the inside. Very brave. You've got to get the move done well before 130R. Otherwise, it is just too risky, Joe. And you can see that he pulls out of the attempt to pass there because it is just too risky, and we're only on lap 3.
Oh, we've got a spin behind them. And I didn't quite... It looks like that was Matthias Weiger, actually. We're going to watch the replay. We just caught a glimpse of it in the background. You can see them heading through 130R. And what must have happened here? He must have dipped a wheel off. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I've done that so many times in this car at this track. It is really frustrating and so hard to avoid.
And you know, Joe, I'm just looking now at Jerry Bukakis. I noticed that he has damage on the rear. So he's been involved in a bit of an incident as well that we did not catch on camera. He's still going, but a little bit of damage there. So the race is taking its toll on the drivers already.
Yeah, and you can see just a little bit of that left rear kind of bumped up. So that's going to hurt his straight line speed ever so slightly. However, Kevin Vaughn currently sitting in third. You mentioned him earlier, not able to keep up with these top two guys of Schartner and Lopez, but he is holding his own and has actually been holding off Dominic Brennan for quite some time now. Brennan's been all over the back bumper of that SRF and hasn't been able to make any ground that I've seen so far.
Well, we remember the frantic race at Watkins Glen where Dominic Brennan was at one point leading for lap 2 as well from a Jacobo Lopez. So Dominic Brennan is no stranger to this car, and he's showing that right here, putting it to Kevin right now as they go down towards the hairpin, and we'll see what he's got for Kevin. Kevin is a very, very, very accomplished driver in this car. But like you said, Joe, he is not keeping pace with the two front runners.
We have a car off. Trevor Mack had some sort of accident coming under the bridge, and that looks like Degner two-bit him, which is another place it's very easy to do. Yeah, I'm not sure if we can get a replay of that, but he dipped the wheel off as well and slammed it into the barriers.
Yeah, and I was following that actually as I was watching those three race, Trevor Mack and Nick Thyssen and Matthias Weger right there, and he just got a little bit off there, and the car just broke away on him.
Yeah, as we said, the lift throttle oversteer. Now, what do we mean when we talk about lift throttle oversteer, Sean? What for those who aren't seasoned veterans of sim racing?
Well, basically, what you want to do in that situation to avoid it is get off that throttle and just kind of let the car go, free up and go. What tends to happen is you tend to either stay in the throttle a little too long or get on it too quickly coming out. And then that's what causes what we just saw here, where it gets loose under the bridge there and gets off course.
Well,
yeah,
currently...
sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say we've jumped up to Dominic Brennan, still trying to hunt down Kevin Vaughn as they come out of turn 2 up into the S's. Nothing really new to report there. Oh, and we've got another spin. That is Yolland, actually. Richard Yolland that we just saw lose it.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of that if we can to see what happened to him there.
And it looks like coming through turn 1, and that wasn't Yolland. I apologize, that wasn't Yolland. That was the blue and white car that was next to him. Very lovely Rothman's livery on Yolland, though. I love that classic thing he's got going on there. But did not quite see who that driver was, but simply, once again, that lift throttle oversteer was off the gas, and that back end started to come around.
Well, Joe, as we watch that incident go by, let's just jump up to Michel Mancusi, who seems to be making up time on Jerry Bukaki and Luca Varani, slowly but surely catching them. So it's going to be interesting once he does get up with them. He's currently in 7th place on lap number 5 of 18. So plenty of time still for these guys to get into battles, but pretty much still in line. I want to check in once again with Nathan Schartner. As we see, he's still trailing Adeko Lopez, coming down that backstretch once again, heading towards 130R, closes up, and we have a spinner.
Yeah, it looks like Duljan Boldrin lost it in Spoon Curve, I believe it was, and we're going to get a replay of that. Yeah, it's heading down in the Spoon Curve as we watch this, and it looks, oh, he dipped a wheel off into the grass, I believe. And
he did, and saved it real nicely. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that was, I thought he was going to slide all the way across the track. Really good handling from Duljan there. I was going to say, Michel Mancusi, he actually has some damage on the front there. So that's impressive that he's able to gain on these guys in front of him, even with some aero damage.
Well, that explains something for me. He was trailing Jerry Bukaki for a while. So Jerry Bukaki's got damage on the rear. If he's got damage on the front, that's probably the incident that we did not catch on camera, where he got into the back of Jerry Bukaki. But he's doing a great job with that car, even with that damage at the moment. And as I said, he's slowly but surely catching up to the little pack in front of him, being Jerry Bukaki and Luca Varani. So we'll see what happens as the race laps wind down.
Meanwhile, I am watching as we look at Marco Silva. I want to hop over to Andre Bach, who has been chasing down Richard Yalland, and Richard Yalland had a huge slide coming up to Dunlop Curve, and this is going to give an opportunity to Bach, and it looks like he's going to try around the outside of Dunlop Curve. I'm not sure. He's going to have a lot of momentum and be very brave into the braking of Degner 1. That's not really a passing zone. He wisely backs out of that. Now coming up to 2, and we've got a spinner in front of them. And I didn't see who that was, just saw some puffs of smoke.
Mancusi.
Oh my goodness, he has not been having a good day. We're going to look at that replay.
Mancusi now very slow. Richard Yalland coming up on the back of him. He's got to be careful not to hit him in the rear. Comes up to the back of him. Michel's got going again. And Andrew Beck, as we were speaking about these two, Andrew Beck and Richard Yalland, now right on the rear of Michel Mancusi. So just as we said, Michel was catching the guys ahead of him.
And here
now
goes
we
Yalland
see Richard Yalland making a move into Spoon. This is not going to end well. It doesn't. There's a spin, a contact between Yalland and Mancusi, Joe. And the two of them now have to recover from what was a definite contact.
And Andrew Bach is the one that really takes advantage of that. So did Martin Ensman, who also gained 2 positions as we watched the replay. And just sliding it up the inside, I think he was a little too hot into there. He had a nose in, but if you're going to make a pass, you have to get the car turned in. And I don't think he was on the right trajectory there, Richard.
I agree. I think that was a little bit of a dive bomb, as we like to say. You know, the blood rushed to the head there thinking, I can do this, but that's probably the worst corner to try it in, John.
And they're still going at it as they come through the Casio Triangle. They are not through with each other yet.
Hey, guys.
They certainly are fighting with each other, and what that's going to do is, of course, put them further back from the guys they're chasing.
Go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say we had a close one back here. The 927 of Marco Silva got off course, and as he was trying to get back up on course, got a little close to a couple cars coming through a turn at speed, and that's probably not the wisest thing to do. He should have probably waited a little bit longer to get back on, but he's back under power, showing right now in 26th place.
And we're watching that replay as he comes through 130R, which it looks like he was safe through there. Did it happen in the Casio Triangle? Where did he actually have his accident? Yeah, oh, there it was, yeah. Loops it around and he... Oh no, the car behind him looped it around actually, and he went off trying to regain control. That's Angelo Fiornio, and we've got all kinds of cars having problems. That's Brett Trosen, I believe it is. Wow, my goodness, that is a dangerous spot at this point in time, but now we are back live as we're on Tim Phillip trying to chase down who is that in front of him. It looks like that's Rick James, who is currently under severe threat, actually, as they hunt around the Dunlop curve.
Well, guys, let's just take a wrap on what's happening at the moment. So we've got, it seems to me, we've got two little battles happening here. Up the front, we've got Ade Lopez and Nathan Schartner. Nathan Schartner has been shadowing Ade Lopez for most of the race, in fact all of the race so far. Closes up at 130R, does not try to make a move, so he's obviously waiting for either a mistake from a day, or he is waiting for an opportunity later in the race to make his move. So that's one little pack. Then we've got Kevin Vaughan and Dominic Brennan. These two are pretty much in the same position as the two up front, where Dominic has had opportunities to make a move on Kevin, but has not tried to do it. Then after that, we've got Luca Varani all by himself, and Jerry Bukaki actually making ground on Luca, I believe. So that's your top five. And then of course we've got some of the action further back where it's all happening.
Yeah, those guys have nothing to lose. They're trying to get every position they have. But I have to say, between Schartner, Lopez, Vaughan, and Brennan, this is... and Ensman actually just made contact with it. Was that Andrew Bach? And Ensman gives the spot right back and puts it in the barrier. Oh, so not the day that Ensman wanted, not how he wanted that move to go, as he gets that damaged car back onto track as cars absolutely stream by. But as I was saying before, Richard, this is in stark contrast up front to what we saw in the previous race, in which everybody was just going at it hand over fist. Right now, everyone's being very patient in those first two groups, just kind of racing and waiting for chances rather than tossing it in at every opportunity.
Well, you know, the difference, Joe, is in the track. We were at Watkins Glen, which Watkins Glen is just that type of track where you can do what we saw them do in that race. This is a totally different track, very technical. You can hurt your chances. You can throw it all away in the blink of an eye if you. As we see a car off track again in front of Martin Ensman at the moment. Who is that? I'll just have a quick look. That is Mancini, who is having a terrible day at the moment. But getting back to the point, these guys are cautious because of the track, I believe, Joe.
Yeah, Mancusi was the one who was off track. We also saw Clark Williams off the track, and that he didn't hit anything. We're actually looking at that replay way off the track after Degner 1 rejoins just a little too hot. Miraculously keeps that thing out of the barriers. Oh, I think he had a little bit of a touch. Just the slightest of touches on the rear of the car in those soft little barriers, but he's back going once again. Clark Williams is. So yeah, no, I completely agree about the differences in tracks, but I also think that the fact that we've got two different packs here of just two cars rather than everybody kind of being all together. I seem to recall that there was quite a large pack of cars at the top that everybody was really just grasping for whatever position they could get, and here they only have this one competitor to worry about, so they know it's probably better to just work together rather than try to fight this one car. And take that back. It sounds like we got a new leader as we look at Nathan Schartner ahead of Ade Lopez. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. And that was just a straight fight down the front stretch, slingshotting past him with the draft. Not even a battle, as Schartner finally gets his opportunity, like you were saying, Richard.
Correct, and there may have been a small error that we could not even see from Ade Lopez, and Schartner spins it. Schartner spins his car with nobody near him, no contact, just a mistake on his part, and it's just thrown it all away, Joe.
And if we can we are on the replay, or no, we're not on the replay. I guess we are. So you'll see as he comes on the Dunlop curve here, just puts it slightly over the edge, and that loss of grip on that green stuff sent him into the barrier. And I have to apologize, our cameras said live, so I was a bit thrown off by that. And now we're on Kevin Vaughn, still trying to hold off Dominic Brennan. And, you know, speaking of some of these cars and how they look, man, I love that Castrol paint job that Vaughn has on that nice classic livery.
Man, that was
Yeah.
so unfortunate for Schartner. He finally gets the lead away from Koba, and then just gets a little bit of the grass to get out of shape there. That really is tough luck.
Well, this certainly gives Lopez some breathing room and will make it a much more straightforward race for him. All he has to worry about, Richard, is just pounding up laps instead of what the strategy is going to be.
Well, that's correct. Bearing in mind this is a sprint race, there are no pit stops, there are no cautions, there is nothing to impede the progress of a fast driver. We have another spin.
It's Clark Williams in the exact same spot as his last. We're looking at the replay, and 1 second here. Now, we went a little bit far back, but that was once again coming out of Degner 2, and once again backing it into the barriers.
And we have a battle going on, guys. Luca Varani under threat from Jerry Bukaki at this point in time. Jerry Bukaki had a look through Casio, but decided not to do anything there. Now, in the draft, coming up there, you can see that Luca Varani is going very defensive, hanging on to that position. Very good through turns 1 and 2 there. Bukaki backs out, but this is a battle to watch for the, I believe that's for 4th place.
Absolutely. And now I've raced Jerry quite a bit in this car quite a while ago, but still, I don't think he's changed too much because from my memory, he is a fierce driver. You do not want to be going door to door with him, not because he's over aggressive, but simply because he's very difficult to hold back. And right now, Luca Varani is trying to do just that as they head up into Dunlop Curve. Jerry's got a nice run, but I don't think he's going to have enough. I don't think he's daring enough to try it onto the inside of Degner 1. Oh, maybe he is.
Place.
I'm sorry, he took just a little bit of a look. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was going to say, real nice battle going on back here between Duljan
Oh,
and
sorry,
Jerry.
Jerry spins it. Jerry spins it. Just lost the rear end. I tell you what, Joe, this time model has changed things up a little bit because I have not seen so many spins from really, really good drivers as I've seen here today.
I have to agree. This is very unusual for these guys. So many usual perfectionists that are losing it all over the place. Jerry is, of course, going again. But right now we're looking at Seth Reed and what's going on with this battle. It looks like he is trying to hunt down Adam Hawks. Just behind him, gets a good run just ahead of them. Steve Allen is trying to get away. And it looks like Seth is closing right up on the bumper, but he's got nowhere to go. Adam Hawks goes defensive up into the hairpin. It's going to be very difficult. He could get the over-under, but he's got a car inside of him. And that is, who is that? That's Mehdi Bokrani, who continues on a bit of a bump and run as Seth has to get his car turned around, and we're going to look at the replay of that one.
Yeah, it happens so often. You're attacking somebody else and you forget what's going on behind you.
Oh, it's a terrible feeling. You feel like your attention has to be elsewhere at that moment, but you really have to have eyes in the back of your head. And I don't blame Mehdi for making that move. You know, it was an opportunistic, but maybe just should have waited to get him coming out of the corner possibly. And meanwhile, it sounds like, or looks like actually, Dominic Brennan getting by. So up into second place for Dominic Brennan, doing a great job, very patient job as we come on to lap 11 here, working himself into the second position.
Well, you said it, Joe. These guys are working lap 11 out of 18, so that means that the laps are winding down, and it is time to think about making your move. Kevin hasn't given up. Kevin is now right on the rear of Dominic Brennan. So this battle is another one that we'll have to watch because it is certainly not over at this point in time. Checking in with Nathan Schartner now. Nathan Schartner on the back of, who is that? That is Luca Varani. So he's come back from his earlier spin, bearing in mind he was leading the race at one point, and he's in a battle here with Luca as well.
And we're getting word that Duljan Boldrin has now spun, and I think we're going to watch a replay of that. And that looks like, where exactly is that? That's in turn 1 with another car actually off track. Turn 2, excuse me, now heading into the S's. And waiting to see what exactly happened here, because I have no idea. It looks like
Yeah,
just went a little bit wide.
It was Ed Rice that was off with him there.
Oh, and he actually clipped another car, it looks like, who was trying to avoid him. That was, yeah, that was Ed Rice, what, like you were mentioning, who has quite a bit of damage on the front. Let's go back to Nathan Shartner, who's actually taking a look on Luca Verani coming down to Spoon Curve. Is he going to be able to make it onto the inside? It's going to be a late dive here. He's only got just a bit of a nose in. We've seen this not work before, and Nathan almost loops it around. He keeps it not quite from fully going around, but that's going to lose him a position to Jerry Burkaki. Or no, it doesn't lose him a position, actually, as we watch the replay from a nice heli view. And just a little bit too hot into there, and that back end came around. Who was that went by him, actually?
That was
actually
Jerry Burkaki. No, Luca Verani.
No, that's a lapped car. That's Jared Sharp, actually. I apologize. He was a lap down, so that confused me too. I thought it looked just like Jerry's car, but that was not. Jerry's actually closing in on him. You know, before that mistake, I was just going to say, Richard, how demoralizing must it be to be one of these guys up at the front, to have a damaged car behind you, and they're still gaining and attempting a pass?
Oh, yeah. Look, I don't think that was the right place to make that move, but we've all done it. You know, we've gone in for that pass in an inappropriate place. Spoon curve is very difficult to negotiate by yourself, and to attempt a passing maneuver in that corner. I've seen guys do it, but more often than not it ends in tears. So I would have waited. You know, we were coming onto the backstretch soon after that, and that might have been a better place to try. However, he's got going once again as we're getting more information from our director.
And that was Stefan Overgaard putting a move on Duljan Boldrin, I believe. Yes, it was. He actually took the position. He is now up into 12th. Very good job for Stefan Overgaard. And I have to admit, there are a few guys that might not be considered the best of the best in these cars. Stefan Overgaard has not driven this car before today, and 12th is no mean feat.
Yeah, in fact, absolutely. He was even bold enough to boast that on Twitter, that he had not driven one before.
Well, I would have to say that's a little bit of a fib, because I remember being in a fun, not a race, there was just a little fun session where he was attempting to drive this car and did it quite nicely, actually. But that was a long time ago, so I can forgive him for forgetting that he actually did a few laps, and I don't even know what track that was, Joe. I think we were all in there as a GSRC fun thing.
Meanwhile, we're looking more like Gen 6 cars at Bristol today, because look at Trevor Mack trying to hold off Richard Holliday, who both of them have severe damage on the fronts of their cars as they duke it out. Holliday taking just a little bit of a peek through the S's, but there's nowhere to go through there. Now they head for Dunlop Curve, and he's going to have to get a very good run, but he does not get one. Still hassling Trevor Mack, who's had some earlier issues, every chance he can get.
Guys, great battle back here. Eric Williams and Matthias Weiger going back and forth.
We're actually on Adam Hawks, and this is for 19th, 18th, and 17th, I believe. No, I believe it's one more position down, the 16th, 17th, and 18th. But Adam Hawks leading Martin Ensman at the moment with Mehdi Macrani, and then Marco Silva just behind them. So a number of guys very close together, and it looks like Hawks is under attack as Ensman gets a run coming down the backstretch. He's going to have to get past him before 130R. These guys are not going to want to go side by side. He's got the run, but he's only just barely going to clear him. No, he's not going to clear him as they're still side by side. Who's going to give? It's going to be Hawks.
That
just
was
behind
silly.
them. There's a spin.
Number 23. Why did you do that?
That
and
was
the 927 as well now. So these guys, very silly move there from the 23 car. Who is the 23? That
was Macrani. Yeah, just sticking his nose in, and poor who was that? Marco Silva had nowhere to go behind him. And Dominic Brennan, we're hearing, had some sort of mistake or something happened to him along the way. He's sitting in fourth. He's behind Luca Verani.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm going back to see if I can find out what happened there. Probably just a mistake. This has been a mistake-prone race for these guys who are normally so perfect in this car. But
It
obviously
was
the
Degner.
changes has caused that. So, uh, am I getting information? We've got a replay on that.
We don't. However, it was Arthur Hermont spun in front of him and Degner too, and he was caught by surprise, so he had nowhere to go. So Dominic Brennan was taking avoiding action. He was pretty blameless. I believe it was on lap possibly lap 11.
Right. In the meantime, while we're having a look to see if we can find a replay there, I would like to mention that Luca Varani, and I hope I'm not going to put the commentator's curse on him, he has had a really, really good race this time around. He's in third place, trailing Kevin Vaughan in second place, and Ade Koba Lopez way out in front, just going through Casio, as Kevin is only approaching Casio right now. Luca Varani having a nice race and a podium spot at the moment, Joe.
Well, he's going to have to work hard for the rest of it because right now he's got Dominic Brennan, who was faster than him for most of the race, and closing in, coming through Casio. He's going to get a very good draft onto the front stretch. I think he's going to get an opportunity to try and move himself back into the podium here.
As we see Luca Varani immediately going defensive, a ploy that I've seen guys use a lot. You force the other guy to the outside to see if he can be brave enough to try and loop through turn one on the outside, which Dominic Brennan is not game to do, and I don't blame him one little bit for not attempting the pass. There are other places to try and pass, but certainly, yeah, he looks a little more pacey or racy, if you like, than Luca Varani, and I guess it might just be a matter of time, Joe.
Yeah, right now we are looking at Eric Williams, and this is for 10th position. He is trying to hunt down that black and yellow car just in front of him, seeing if he can move one more spot up. I'm not sure who that is. It looks like that's
Matthias Weiger.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's Matthias Weiger in the number 12, the black and yellow car, and Nick Thyssen in the 39 just up ahead of them. They've had a nice three-car battle going here for about 6 laps. And back and forth, but it looks like Thyssen is starting to pull away now as he just got that position up into that 8th position here just as they went across the line here previously. But it's been a good battle back here, a little on and off course action, but everybody's managed to keep it going under power.
Yeah, and our director certainly seems to be a little bit distracted today as he's switching around quite a bit. I'm having trouble keeping up here. Still on Eric Williams now, and they must, like you said, I think they must have switched positions just recently, according to my time and scoring, as they work their way through the hairpin to complete another lap. With us on lap 14, we've only got 4 more to go, Richard. We are getting close to the end.
Yep, and the car to watch at the moment is Nathan Schartner. Now, and Nathan had some unhappy times when he was actually took the lead from Koba in the race early on. And so he fell back into 5th place, but he now has
Eric
Dominic
Williams,
Brennan and Luca
spin,
Varani
guys.
in his sights. I don't know if he has enough time. We have a spin somewhere.
Yeah,
That was
Eric Williams.
That was coming through
spins.
Spoon.
Well, I can tell you Dominic Brennan had a go at Luca Varani, did not come away with the pass, but certainly had a look and it showed Luca that he's there and ready to take. But all this battling, Joe, means that Nathan Schartner is catching up to these two.
Yeah, that's going to give him a good opportunity. Coming to the outside comes Dominic Brennan coming up to turn 1. He's going to try it this time, or is he going to back out? He's trying to hold on to that outside. Luca Varani still squeezing to the inside. There's a lot of banking here. It could be possible, but no, just can't keep the momentum. Goes all the way off track and gets it back to the racing line. Dominic Brennan is going to have to wait for another chance.
And look who's coming up behind them pretty quickly now. Because, of course, that battling would have slowed them down quite significantly. Nathan Schartner in 5th place. He's soon going to be in a position to challenge for possibly 3rd place because 4th and 3rd are battling fiercely at this point in time. So we'll keep an eye on this. In the meantime, is there anything else happening?
Well, right now, actually, we're on board with Dominic Brennan. I want to stay here because this is a great view. You can see just how close he gets and how nearly out of control they are through some of these very fast corners. Now heading under the bridge up towards the hairpin. Not quite close enough to make it happen here. Sometimes you can sneak a pass in. He closes up a little bit. If he's smart, he's going to square this thing off, try to get as good of a run as he can. And he gets a decent one.
Nathan Shartner spins again, unfortunately. Just behind him as he was catching up. Very unhappy. Carry on, Joe.
Yeah, we're watching the replay right now. That was just coming out of the hairpin. His car, the handling must be damaged because we've seen a few spins from now as he adds insult to injury by bouncing off the barrier as he gets going again.
It is now.
All right, the Dominic Brennan battle is still on. Sean, you want to say something?
No, well, talking about Dominic Brennan, I mean, he's all over Luca Varani now and has a chance to finish this race on the podium as we hear on the last 2 laps of this race.
Oh, and he lets off. He lifts off the throttle as we ride on board with him. Very smart coming through 130R. He's going to get a better chance coming up to the Casio Triangle. But offensive once again goes Luca Varani. Dominic tries to outbrake him into that chicane, and he isn't able to do it, but he's been getting great runs all day. In fact, he's so much closer this time by. He is right on top of him. Can he get to the inside? No, Luca Varani covers him off all the way to the wall. He is going to force the issue here. Dominic Brennan goes around the outside. He's much closer this time, looking for that 3rd place position as they come across the line. They're coming up to the braking zone of turn 1. Who is going to have it this time? He's much farther. Is he going to be more aggressive? He tries to hold on to it. He's a little bit closer. He could get the over-under. Now he closes up, using that banking, everything he can. He's going to have the inside coming up to the S's. Is he going to be able to do it? This is an unusual place to make it happen. No, Luca Varani still has it. He's going to have the inside for this one. Still not giving up. Now he slides. Dominic Brennan loses it. He tries to keep it pointed forward and noses it into the barrier. Just collects it. Just a little bit of a tap, but now the opportunity is lost. Is Nathan Shartner going to come up on him? Yes, he does. He has the momentum, but he gets balked as Dominic Brennan tries to get his car going, and this is going to slow both of them up, which allows Jerry Burkaki to make this possibly a 3-way battle now for that 4th position.
Fantastic calling there, Joe. That was pretty tight there for Dominic Brennan, and unfortunately, all the battling and the inside, outside, as Jerry Burkaki goes really wide and spins the number 14 machine.
2
and
cars
in front
around.
of him, another spin as well from Dominic Brennan. So Dominic Brennan's car damaged, of course. Jerry Burkaki spinning behind him. All happening at the moment, and none of it good, Joe.
Both those guys with possibly wasted opportunities, but the guy that is thankful that luck is finally going his way is Nathan Shartner as we watch the replay of both cars losing it in the exact same corner as Nathan Shartner continues on and claims that 4th position.
Well, I tell you what, the real hero of all of this, those battles there, is in fact Luca Varani. He did a magnificent job of holding Dominic Brennan out, who I do believe had more speed than he, but he defended as hard as he could, and that section through the S's there, with inside and outside each other, that was really good driving, and no shame for Dominic in losing it there. That was some pretty tight driving.
He must have had some pretty bad damage there, Richard, as I see he's left the race, has disconnected, but that's a shame. That was a really nice battle, but like you said, Varani, the real winner there, as he showed enough patience to get through those turns smoothly.
And we've got a huge battle going on between Nick Thyssen and 2 other cars just in front of him. I'm trying to figure out who that is. Andrew Back and Matthias Weiger, actually, all going for 9th, 8th, and 7th between these guys. 5th, 6th, and 7th now that we've lost the car of Dominic Brennan, actually. And look at this as Burkaki comes up the outside of Weiger and is able to take that position away. Meanwhile, just ahead of him, Thyssen trying to close in on Andrew after those close moments coming through the Casio Triangle. And a huge bobble coming from Jerry Burkaki. Another spin in the works. No, just keeps it off the barriers, but no, he has a glancing blow. And he gets it going once again. It's a bad end for Jerry Burkaki after having such a great race for the rest of it, and it's all coming apart.
Yeah, a lot of these guys did exactly of what we would not have wished for them to do, and that is he zoomed past the car. I forget which car it was then, and suddenly loses it in what should have been a regulation turn in. But meanwhile, guys, back up at the front now, we can talk about these battles. We have to say that Ade Coba Lopez has just run the perfect race. Not a scratch on his car. He's leading this race by 11 seconds at this point from Kevin Vaughan. And Luca Varani, he gets the Heroes Award for mine.
Yeah, the smooth and steady as she goes definitely goes to Luca Varani, who's just been claiming position after position as everybody else around him just keeps making mistakes. However, we're still watching Nick Thyssen, who is being chased down by Viger, and just ahead of them is still Andrew. And it looks like coming into Spoon Curve, nothing happening right now as everybody just stays in line. But look at the run from Thyssen, who closes in, but he starts to get a little bit sideways, holds onto it, and magnificent power slide coming out of there. Not the fastest way, but great car control.
He was gone for all money, but he managed somehow to hold on to it. Now he can close up in the draft as we hear our director waffling away again there in the background.
I think he was alerting us. The white flag just came out as Ade Coba Lopez is getting ready to take on his final lap here. He's coming through the S's, so he is actually on his final lap. So let's stay with this battle, though, because we got another 2 minutes before we have to worry about Lopez blowing out this thing. And Thyssen has a good run coming onto the front stretch, trying to go around the outside of Andrew back, and it looks like he's going to have a decent enough run to at least be side by side. The question is, can he hold on around the outside of turn one?
Yeah, Andrew put a bit of a squeeze on him there, and now they come down into turn one. Meanwhile, they're making up a lot of time on who's that in front of them.
It's a lapped car, I believe.
Yep, and he got it done, Joe. Sorry, I missed that while I was trying to figure out who was there. So Nick Thyssen got the move done on Andrew back.
Yeah, that's David Gibson. That's David Gibson up there, guys, and looks like he's moving out of the way right now.
That's David Gibson. Yep.
And Thyssen just gets that position now and is going up through the S's here at speed, starting to put a little distance between him. Thyssen has been relentless in this race, guys. Started 15th and has managed to avoid the trouble in front of him to be where he's at now.
Yeah,
it's not over yet, Joe. It's not over yet.
It's not. I'm keeping half an eye on Ade Coba Lopez, but he's still got a little bit ways to go. Yes, it looks like Andrew still has Matthias Viger just behind him. Goes very wide, coming out of Degner too. Closes up, coming up towards the hairpin. Is he going to try and make a pass? This is the last lap. Nope, he stays in line and gets very close to that rear bumper. He's going to have to try and get the best exit possible, and just loses the slightest bit of ground, but the draft is going to pull him in once again. However, let's jump back to Ade Coba Lopez, because he's got at least 2 or 3 more corners to go as he comes through 130R. Now getting ready to break for the Casio Triangle. There goes Ade Coba Lopez through that final chicane. Last right-hander, foot to the floor, no problem for Ade Coba Lopez, who has once again dominated the race and wins the Week 13 Big Grid race. Kevin Vaughan, still coming around that corner, is going to take second, and Luca Varani is a ways back. Let's check back in on Thyssen and them for that top 5 spot. Thyssen still in 5th, and he's under threat from Andrew. Andrew takes a look on the inside coming into 130R, but he backs out of it. Very much momentum on the side of Nick Thyssen, who absolutely pulls away. I think he's going to have that spot.
No, Matthias Wieger trying on the outside to last second attempt to get a extra position. Touches the car in front of him. That was forget who that was.
That was
now.
Andrew Bach,
Andrew
who
Bach.
was off,
and he takes the position away, but that could be judged as an avoidable contact, I'm afraid.
Oh yeah, we never like to see a contact like that decide a race, but exciting stuff all the way to the end for a lot of guys, and we still have battles going on farther down, I believe. I'm trying to find what exactly is going on as we still have cars finishing, and I take that back. Everybody's kind of all by themselves all the way down.
Yeah, I'm driving with Marco Silva in 17th place now, coming up to Casio, the Casio Triangle, and these guys are all single file. Going further back, we've got damaged car Sergio Dorelli, even further back to Rick James, who is just about the last car on the lead lap. His car looks pretty second-hand, and he's just coming through Spoon right now. So a number of cars still have to finish up.
And it's looking like Brian Stromquist is going to be our last one on the track. Ed Rice was, but he is currently sitting off to the side. I guess he must have finished a little bit earlier and is now letting everybody work their way by. So, number of cars still finishing as we watch Rick James come up to 130R and complete his race in 24th.
Yeah, you're quite right, Brian Stromquist, the last car on the lead lap, certainly, and he's coming up now to 130R, so he'll be finishing soon. And then we have all the lapped cars, and you know, some of these guys, unfortunately, Joe, their race was over early, but others were in battles and came out second best, and that's how they lost their positions. But as usual, a great race. Although I must say, Joe, this was one of the first races where we did not see a battle to the line.
Yeah, this is about the biggest gap we've ever seen, with it being 12 seconds at the line between Lopez and Vaughn. And those guys have been duking it out for many races that we've seen them in together here on GSRC. Now that every car has crossed the line, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with some interviews. Don't miss it all. Welcome back to Suzuka Circuit after we watched yet another Week 13 Spec Racer Ford Big Grid race, and this one delivered like they all do with lots of excitement all the way throughout. But once again, Ade Coba Lopez came out on top as the winner. Kevin Vaughn finished second. Luca Verani finished off the podium. Nathan Schartner made a great recovery drive, you have to say, to manage fourth. Nick Thyssen, incredible job going from 15th to 5th. Matthias Weiger finished 6th. Jerry Burkaki came home in 7th. Andrew Back finished in 8th. Then it's Michael Chase in 9th and Duljan Boldrin in 10th, Richard.
And Stefan Overgaard, a very good drive after a race just before this one in 11th place. Then we had in 12th place Donnie Henriksen, Eric Williams in 13th. 14th place was Martin Enzeman. 15th place Steve Allen, Adam Hawks in 16th place, Marco Silva in 17th, Sergio Dorelli in 18th place, Trevor Mack, disappointing for him no doubt, in 19th place, and 20th was brought up by Christian Kroza.
Then in 21st it's Mario Pires, then Mehdi Mokrani in 22nd, Richard Holiday in 23rd, Rick James in 24th, Brian Stromquist came home in 25th, Ed Rice in 26th. 27th was David Gibson, followed by Tim Phillips in 28th. Then it's Jared Sharp in 29th and Brett Trozen in 30th.
And 31st place, Dominic Brennan. Disappointing for him, fought for the lead at one stage. Brian Bennett in 32nd place. Seth Reed, 33. 34th place, Gary Jackson. 35 was Angelo Fiorino. In 36th place, Arthur Hermont. 37th place, Clark Williams. 38th, Michel Mancusi. And 39th place, Richard Yelland. 40th place, Steve Tingle.
Then 41st was Kleber Camilo Gomez. 42nd was David Anderson. And 43rd was Reino Tani. You know, if Michel Mancusi was Mancini, it'd be very appropriate with that pink car. But in the meantime, we do have some interviews. First up, we have Kevin Vaughn, our second place finisher. Kevin, it was some intense battling at times, but it looked like early on you lost contact with that lead pack. Were you a bit disappointed that you weren't able to close up, and were you hoping for them to battle to give you an opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. I was really disappointed that by the basically right after lap one or right in the S's, I pretty much lost them. I think that my tire pressures were probably just too low compared to the ones that I saw at the end of the race. I saw Koba said he was using much higher tire pressures, and it just gave him a better start.
Well, you and Dominic had some great battles there for the podium positions. What was it like trying to fight with him, and were you a little relieved to see him having off a little later?
Nah, I can't say I was relieved. I wanted the real battle hadn't even started yet. I think we were feeling each other out still and waiting to give it the final go in the last probably 3 or 5 laps or so. So I was a little disappointed, especially when I had to run the second half of the race by myself. I really wanted to race.
Well, again, congratulations. Second is no mean feat in fields of this size and talent. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really used to finishing second to Koba at this time. Happened all season, but it was a good time.
Well, commiserations on that then. Hopefully, we'll see you in 13 weeks' time.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, guys.
Up next, we have Luca Verani, who not only finished in third, and I'm not sure if we have Luca Verani. It sounds like we might. Oh no! It sounds like we're doing Nathan next. So, Nathan Shartner is up next, and Sean, do you have any questions for him?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Nathan. Congratulations on a great race. Although I'm thinking maybe you would hope there was more there at the end for you.
Yeah, I kind of hope I wouldn't have spun there. That kind of sucked a little.
You spent so much of the race up there with the leader, with Koba, and it just it seemed in the end it just kind of slipped away from you. What happened out there?
Well, for the first half of the race, I was just planning on just following him around and kind of make it exciting. And then when I went to pass him at the halfway point of the race to give him a break, and he could try and get me from the rear, and then I just ended up clipping the curbs there and spun around.
How much experience do you have with the SRF?
I think about 2 years now. I didn't race last season, but I've raced it in the previous seasons.
Okay, so we expect to see you back then.
Yeah, I'll probably be racing a couple races early in the week this season, and then depending what my schedule's like, do the big grid racer again next season.
Well, do you have anybody you want to thank for today's race?
Well, thank Luca for putting it on. It's tons of fun and lots of work for him to do, so I'm really glad he does it.
Okay, well, hey, congratulations today. Sorry you didn't get a win under your belt, but maybe next time. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Up next, we have Donnie Henriksen, and Donnie finished 12th, which doesn't seem that impressive, but considering the fact that he started in 29th, Donnie, that is one incredible run. Was that just by keeping out of trouble, or what was your method in this race?
Well, first of all, hi. Yeah, that was pretty much what I was doing because I had a pretty terrible qualifying. Couldn't really get control of my car. These new physics are a bit weird to me. So I thought I would do pretty terrible in the race, but once I saw people around me just dropping like flies, attrition everywhere. And that's the point where I just focused on driving, slowly, carefully. And that's how I got through the ranks up to 12th place.
We understand, or at least it looked like it from our point of view, that the lift throttle oversteer was a lot more tricky with this new build. Do you think that's what was catching a lot of people out?
Yeah, absolutely. The car is really twitchy now. Going into all these sharp corners, seems a lot of people just lift a bit too much and then spin out of control. It's a damn shame, though.
Well, not so much of a shame that I'm sure you don't appreciate being able to work your that far up the positions. Congratulations, well done on that. Do you think you can get a top 10 potentially next time?
Well, I managed the top 10 last time. I went from 23 to ninth, I think. But this track is a bit more technical, and I'm not very good at that technical stuff. So perhaps I can do better next time, but I'm not sure.
All right.
I'll
Well,
do my best.
yeah, always. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, Donnie.
You're welcome.
And last up, we have Luca Verani, and Richard is going to ask him some questions.
Yes, sir. Luca Verani, welcome to the podium. Finally, it all comes together for you. Luca, are you there?
Hello, everybody. Thanks a lot for broadcasting. I'm sure you had an excellent broadcast once again.
Yeah, I was just saying, Luca, that welcome to the podium. Finally, it all came together for you after all of the other big Week 13 races didn't work out so well for you.
Well, I was third in the inaugural race at Road America as well. It's all right. It doesn't really matter. What matters is to have fun. Let me say something, however. Koba would like to be here, but he's afraid his English is not good enough. So he's actually thanking everybody and saying hello to everybody.
Yeah, and we thank Koba for that. Certainly, Koba is a standout driver in this particular car. In fact, in almost any car that he drives. But we want to talk about you. So early on in the race, you started off you qualified in 5th position, and you kind of hung in there and held that position through most of the race. And finally, a few mistakes from the guys in front of you put you on the podium, and that must be pleasing for you.
Well, at the start, let's say this is a new car for everybody, new tires. And I suspect that a lot of people got the wrong tire pressure. At the beginning, I think my pressure was a little too low, so I lost a little speed in comparison to the other guys. Then I also was probably a little too careful and lost contact. Otherwise, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fights with Jerry first, Jerry Borkaki, then Dominic and Nathan. They all seemed to drop off when they were fighting me, but it was really entertaining. With Dominic, we went side by side through the first 3 corners or 4 corners. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. In the closing laps, I recall that you were going very defensive to try and hold him out, and managed to do that. Eventually, he overcooked it in one of the corners, and that kind of freed you up, and you could just cruise to the 3rd place after that.
Yeah, this is not Road America. Every spot in the race counts. I was not going to give up my position that easily.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Luca, thanks for putting these races on, man. It's such a lot of fun to watch, and great fun to commentate on as well. So kudos to you for putting these on, and congratulations on your 3rd place position.
Let me ask you guys a question. So I was very hesitant between running a high draft track like Road America or Watkins Glen, lots of back racing, overtaking, etc., or going for something more technical like Suzuka. What's your opinion? So you watched the whole race. Was it worth it?
Well, from my point of view, to me, the race at Watkins Glen was the most exciting. The very first race at Road America was extremely exciting as well because of the finish that we had there. But if anything, the close racing at Watkins Glen to me was the best. This track is technical. Perhaps it was not the best choice, in my opinion, for this car after such a big change to the physics and the tires.
All right, point taken. We'll move back to a high draft track for the next race. I love them, so that's good for me.
That's only my opinion, my friend. It means nothing. You are the organizer of this. It's your choice.
I was going to say, maybe ask the drivers, because they're probably the ones that have a little more sway on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Luca, thanks for talking to us. We do appreciate it. And congratulations once again on the third place. Is there anyone you particularly want to thank besides yourself?
No, I really just want to thank everybody that raced, and a very, very big thanks and appreciation to you guys for broadcasting. I watch every replay of your broadcast, and it's always excellent. I look forward to watching this one as well.
Well, thank you very, very much there, Luca. Back to you, Joe.
That's one of the most entertaining interviews I think we've had. First one where we got to ask questions. So before we go, obviously, we want to thank a few people. Obviously, thanks again to Luca Verani for all his work in organizing this. Thanks to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and Aver Media, the software and hardware that we use to broadcast these. Thanks to the team, Richard, Sean, and Kevin for the broadcast. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Thanks goes out to Doug Beard, who creates all the camera sets for the Global Sim Racing Channel. And a special thank you to Eric Ekholm, whose music is not only found here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and even Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Additional thanks go out to Casey Lalonde, who also provides us with music for our broadcasts. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next broadcast later this evening, the Northwest Majors have the 2.4 hours of Spa, Sunday, July 27th at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. Then the ASRS comes back at Pocono. That'll be Wednesday, July 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, the iSuperspeedway Series is back at Daytona Friday, August 1st at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then the VSRA comes back for another season beginning at Homestead in the DP. That'll be Sunday, August 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, don't forget the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series continues their year-long season. Next up is Mosport, Saturday, August 9th at 10:30 p.m. UTC. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.